My name's Jackson Fretty. I'm a freshman on the golf team at Princeton. I'm from Greenwich, Connecticut, and I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to study yet. Still figuring that out, but it'll be something in the humanities, social sciences, probably economics, but we'll see. And my favorite thing about the golf team so far has just been how tight knit our community is. There's not that many guys on the team, but it's a really nice small group that we can all sort of really bond and become a team. So it's been great so far, and looking forward to the next 3 years.
My name's Connor Belcastro. I'm a freshman on the golf team at Princeton. Kind of with Jackson, not entirely sure what I'm going to major in, but some in the humanities, probably English, but I'm not entirely sure yet. And then, I got to follow up Jackson on just the fact that, we have such a unique opportunity to be on such a small team here on campus that it really is a family. And so it's just a nice little unit to having, 2 or 3 guys every year. It's just a nice little group we have. So, Henry?
All right. Yeah. My name's Henry Dubiel. I'm from Juno Beach, Florida, and also a freshman on the golf team. And I'm probably going to study Woodrow Wilson School as of now, and don't anticipate that changing. But my favorite part about Princeton and the golf experience so far has just been getting to know, each one of my teammates and traveling with the guys and, getting to do what I love basically every day. So it's been great so far. And like Jackson said, looking forward to the next few years.
So today I've got one of my favorite books from when I was younger. It's called Adventure on Clicky Tat Island. It's quite the story. So we're just gonna get right into it. What I'll do is read the page and then see if I can show the illustration. All right. So one dark autumn evening, the full moon was hiding. I heard the wind moaning and saw the sea rising. You can see house surrounded by rising sea. It's a storm, I told Barry. So this bear. Yeah, that works. It's a storm, I told Barry, and tucked him in tight. That noisy old thunder might rumble all night. But with Blanky around us, there's nothing to fear. At least we're not out with the eagles and deer. On Clicky Tat Island, just think of the rains, now soaking the otters and poor baby cranes. I hummed for a while and was closing my eyes when I saw Barry jump up, and to my surprise, he reached for his jacket. Someone's calling, he said. We can't be much help if we stay here in bed. So I snatched up our blankie and quick as could be, we crept down the back stairs and ran to the sea. Our dinghy was waiting by the creaky old dock. We climbed in together and rowed past the rock. Then waves pitched us so high and crashed us so low, we almost lost track of which way we should go. Up ahead loomed the island. Row hard, I told Bear. We'll make it together. 3 pulls and we're there. We took a deep breath when we stepped on the sand, clutching our blankie in each other's hand. The beach seemed deserted. It was so hard to see, but who had been calling to Barry and me? We heard a few sniffles, then somebody sneezed, and a rabbit hopped out from under the trees. He waved one big paw, so we ran to his side. Such a pitiful sight. We both almost cried. From there in a clearing, huddled deer, birds, and otters. So sad and bedraggled, and drenched with storm waters. We're scared, explained Rabbit, to be out in this storm. We should all stay together, cozy and warm. But our nests and our burrows and our caves are too small. We can't find a home the right size for us all. Together they cried, they wept for so long. Then I finally yelled, "Stop it! So much crying is wrong. We've brought you our blankie. We'll share it with you. It helps us feel brave, and we'll help you all too. But first we need shelter from this dark, stormy sky. We need to build something to keep us all dry." "Build," replied Eagle. "I'm an excellent scout. I'll find the best sticks and twigs lying about." "I'll fetch them," cried Moose. Let me help, added Deer. I'll also haul driftwood. The beach is so near. How about clamshells, said Otter, and seaweed and kelp? How about brambles, asked Rabbit, and boulders should help. 2 bears rolled the boulders and piled them up high. They built a great fireplace that reached toward the sky. Then we all propped and we piled all the driftwood we'd found and plugged up the holes from the roof up to the ground. Rumble, boom, crashed the thunder. But no one cared. With so much to work on, how could we be scared? With the deer hauling driftwood and cranes helping sort, soon standing up tall was a clicky-tap fort. For a moment we stood in that terrible weather, amazed by the home we had all built together. Then Moose had a cheer. Hip hooray, we all cried, and hurried to fill up the warm space inside. Now a story, said Rabbit. It's time for a tale. But right in the middle, we heard a sad wail. There sat an otter, just a baby, so sweet. No one's sharing, he whimpered. I can't cover my feet. He pulled and we stretched to give him some blankie, but it didn't quite reach, so Bear gave him his hanky. Now I'm cozy, sighed Otter. I just wish I could eat. So his grandma concocted the tastiest treat. It was partly a cake, partly a soup. We all helped ourselves for a long-handled scoop. Before long, we got sleepy by that warm fireside, while the wind moaned and howled and the rain poured outside. Soon an eagle was yawning, by a young chickadee. Then the whole clan was snoring, except Barry and me. Sleep tight, I told Barry, and as I gave him a hug, we'll stay here till morning, safe, warm, and snug. But the storm must have broken as we both lay there dreaming. When we opened our eyes, the full moon was gleaming. We tiptoed away so our friends wouldn't wake, and we rode the dark sea, now as still as a lake. We woke in the morning, our room full of light, but we know where to go the next dark, stormy night. All right, so yeah, that's Adventure at Clicky Tat Island, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, because I definitely did when I was younger.
All right, I think I'll follow Jackson up. I've got Sylvester and the Magic Pebble, which I very thoroughly enjoyed when I was younger. All right, here, let me try to position myself so the light's right. Sylvester Duncan lived with his mother and father at Acorn Road in Oatesdale. One of his hobbies was collecting pebbles of unusual shape and color. One rainy Saturday during vacation, he found a quite extraordinary one. It was flaming red, shiny, and perfectly red, like a marble. As he was studying this remarkable pebble, he began to shiver, probably from excitement, and the rain felt cold on his back. I wish it would stop raining, he said. To his great surprise, the rain stopped. It didn't stop gradually as rains normally do. It ceased. The drops vanished on the way down, the clouds disappeared. Everything was dry, and the sun was shining as if rain had never existed. In all his young life, Sylvester had never had a wish gratified so quickly. It struck him that magic must be at work, and he guessed that the magic must be in the remarkable-looking red pebble, where indeed it was. To make a test, he put the pebble on the ground and said, "I wish it would rain again." Nothing happened. But when he said the same thing, holding the pebble in his hoof, the sky turned black, there was lightning and a clap of thunder, and the rain came shooting down. What a lucky day this is, thought Sylvester. From now on, I can have anything I want. My father and mother can have anything they want. My relatives, my friends, anybody at all can have anything anybody wants. He wished the sunshine back in the sky, and he wished a wart on his left hind fetlock would disappear, and it did. And he started home, eager to amaze his father and mother with his magic pebble. He could hardly wait to see their faces. Maybe they wouldn't even believe him at first. As he was crossing Strawberry Hill, thinking of some of the many, many things he could wish for, he was startled to see a mean, hungry lion looking right at him from behind some tall grass. He was frightened. If he hadn't been so frightened, he could have made the lion disappear, or he could have wished himself safe at home with his father and mother. But he could have wished the lion would turn into a butterfly or a daisy or a gnat. He could have wished many things, but he panicked and couldn't think carefully. "I wish I were a rock," he said, and he became a rock. The lion came bounding over, sniffed the rock 100 times, walked around and around it, and went away confused, perplexed, puzzled, and bewildered. "I saw that little donkey clear as day. Maybe I'm going crazy," he muttered. And there was Sylvester, a rock on Strawberry Hill, with the magic pebble lying right beside him on the ground, and he was unable to pick it up. "Oh, how I wish I were myself again," he thought, but nothing happened. He had to be touching the pebble to make the magic work, but there was nothing he could do about it. His thoughts began to race like mad. He was scared and worried. Being helpless, he felt hopeless. He imagined all the possibilities, and eventually he realized that his only chance of becoming himself again was for someone to find the red pebble and to wish that the rock next to it would be a donkey. Someone would surely find the red pebble. It was so bright and shiny. But what on earth would make them wish that that rock were a donkey? That chance was 1 in a billion at best. Sylvester fell asleep. What else could he do? Night came with many stars. Meanwhile, back at home, Mr. and Mrs. Duncan paced the floor, frantic with worry. Sylvester had never come home later than dinner time. Where could he be? They stayed up all night wondering what had happened, expecting that Sylvester would surely turn up by the morning. But he didn't, of course. Mrs. Duncan cried a lot, and Mr. Duncan did his best to soothe her. Both longed to have their dear son with him. "I never scold Sylvester as long as I live ever again," said Mrs. Duncan, "no matter what he does." At dawn, they went inquiring all the neighbors. They talked to the children, the puppies, the kittens, the colts, the piglets. No one had seen Sylvester since the day before yesterday. They went to the police. The police could not find their child. All the dogs in Oatsdale went searching for him. They sniffed behind every rock and tree and blade of grass, into every nook and gully of the neighborhood and beyond, but found not a scent of him. They sniffed the rock on Strawberry Hill, but it smelled like a rock. It did not smell like Sylvester. After a month of searching the same places over and over again, the inquiring of the same animals over and over again, Mr. and Mrs. Duncan no longer knew what to do. They concluded that something dreadful must have happened, and they would probably never see their son again, though all the time he was less than a mile away. They tried their best to be happy, to go about their usual ways, but their usual ways included Sylvester, and they were always reminded of him. They were miserable. Life had no meaning for them anymore. Night followed day, and day followed night, over and over again. Sylvester on the hill woke up less and less often. When he was awake, he was only hopeless and unhappy. He felt he would be a rock forever, and he tried to get used to it. He went into an endless sleep. The days grew colder. Fall came with the leaves changing color. Then the leaves fell, and the grass bent to the ground. Then it was winter. The winds blew this way and that. It snowed. Mostly the animals stayed indoors, living on the food they had stored up. One day a wolf sat on the rock that was Sylvester and howled because he was hungry. Then the snows melted, the earth warmed up in the spring and sun, and things budded. Leaves were on the trees again. Flowers showed their young faces. One day in May, Mr. Duncan insisted that his wife go with him on a picnic. "Let's cheer up," he said. "Let us try to live again and be happy, even though Sylvester, our angel, is no longer with us." They went to Strawberry Hill. Mrs. Duncan sat down on the rock. The warmth of his own mother sitting on him woke Sylvester up from his deep winter sleep. How he wanted to shout, "Mother, Father, it's me, Sylvester, I'm right here," but he couldn't talk. He had no voice. He was stone dumb. Mr. Duncan walked aimlessly about while Mrs. Duncan set out the picnic food on the rock: alfalfa sandwiches, pickled oats, sassafras salad, Timothy compote. Suddenly, Mr. Duncan saw the red pebble. "What a fantastic pebble!" he exclaimed. "Sylvester would have loved it for his collection." He put the pebble on the rock. They sat down to eat. Sylvester was now as wide awake as a donkey that was a rock could possibly be. Mrs. Duncan felt some mysterious excitement. "You know, Father," she said suddenly, "I have the strangest feeling that our dear Sylvester is alive and not far away." I am, Sylvester wanted to shout, but he couldn't. If only he realized that the pebble was resting on his back was the magic pebble. Oh, how I wish he were here with us on this lovely May day, said Mrs. Duncan. Mr. Duncan looked sadly at the ground. Don't you wish it too, father? She said. He looked at her as if to say, how can you ask such a question? Mr. and Mrs. Duncan looked at each other with great sorrow. I wish I were myself again. I wish I were my real self again, thought Sylvester. And in an instant, he was. You can imagine the scene that followed, the embraces, the kisses, the questions, the answers, the loving looks, the fond exclamations. When they eventually calmed down a bit and had gotten home, Mr. Duncan put the magic pebble in an iron safe. Someday they might want to use it, but really, for now, what more could they wish for? They had all that they wanted. So, hope you guys like that. That was one of my favorites growing up. And I'll pass it to Henry.
Okay, so we're going to read my favorite book from when I was younger. It's kind of small. It's called Froggy Gets Dressed. It's an all-timer. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll do what Jackson and Connor did. I'll read, and then I'll show you the pictures. So here we go. It was cold. Froggy woke up and looked out the window. Snow, snow, he sang. I want to play in the snow. You can see here. He's in his bed, and he's looking out. He sees it's snowing outside. Pretty exciting. Go back to sleep, Froggy, said his mother. Don't you know? Frogs are supposed to sleep all winter. Wake up when the snow melts. So we got Froggy and his mom and his dad. No, no, cried Froggy. I'm awake, awake. I want to go out and play in the snow. So off he goes. So Froggy put on his socks, pulled on his boots, put on his hat, tied on his scarf, tugged on his mittens, and flopped outside into the snow. Flop, flop, flop. So there he is. He's out in the snow. He's missing a couple things, though. Froggy, called his mother. What? Yelled Froggy. Did you forget to put something on? Froggy looked down. Oops, cried Froggy. I forgot to put on my pants. There we go. Let's see. He flopped back inside. Flop, flop, flop. Tugged off his mittens, untied his scarf, took off his hat, pulled off his boots. He left his socks on and slipped his pants on. Zip. So there he is, getting undressed, and he has to do it all over. Then he pulled on his boots. Zup. Put on his hat. Zat. Tied on his scarf. Swit. Tugged on his mittens, zoom, and flopped back outside into the snow. Flop, flop, flop. So there he goes. He's out in the snow again. Froggy, called his mother. What? Yelled Froggy. Did you forget to put something on? Froggy looked down again. Oops, he cried. I forgot to put on my shirt. And your coat, added his mother. So he's outside, and he has to come back in a second time. He flopped back inside, flop, flop, flop. Tugged off his mittens, untied his scarf. He took off his hat. He left his pants, boots, and socks on, and buttoned up his shirt. Then he snapped on his coat, put on his hat, tied on his scarf, tugged on his mittens, and flopped back outside into the snow. Flop, flop, flop. So now he's all bundled up now. Okay, so again, Froggy called his mother. What? Yelled Froggy. Did you forget to put something on? Froggy looked down. He had on his mittens. He had on his scarf. He had on his coat. He had on his shirt. He had on his pants, his boots, and his socks. He reached up. Yep, he had on his hat. What could he be missing? Your underwear, his mother laughed. Oops, cried Froggy, looking more red in the face than green. He flopped back inside, flop, 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 tugged off his mittens, untied his scarf, unsnapped his coat, unbuttoned his shirt, unzipped his pants, pulled off his boots, took off his socks. He left his hat on and zipped his long johns on with a zap. So there he is. Then he put on one sock, pulled on one boot, tugged on one mitten, started to tug on the other, and let it drop and said, "I'm too tired." And he went back to sleep. And good night, Froggy. That is the end. All right. So thanks for listening, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. And remember to stay inside, stay safe, and spend some time with your families.
Yeah, I hope you
For
got
sure.
the stories. Just make sure to stay safe and keep some social distance.
Yeah, this was super fun, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for letting us do this. This has been awesome.